Welcome to American Fight Stories with Debar. We are challenging all Americans to be better Americans by showcasing great American fighters. And today, I'm so honored to have DeSoto County native. Are you native?
I'm not a native. A lot of people think I am a native. I've been here a quarter century. I would love to call myself a native, but I have tried to absorb all the history that I can find so that I might appear as a native. But I am a native of Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
I grew up in the once small suburb of Madison, Mississippi. Okay. Which is now no longer a suburb. It's a bustling city. Wow. And I'm a bulldog to all of my Ole Miss brethren out there. But my great uncle is in their Hall of Fame.
To those who don't know, if you're not in Mississippi, Mississippi has two opportunities. You can either be an Ole Miss fan,
yes,
Ole Miss, Mississippi, and you can also be a Bulldog fan, Mississippi State.
That's right.
I'm from Arkansas.
Okay.
In my mind, we only have one option.
I understand.
But I am a transplant into Mississippi, and I love the opportunity to have two more options, right?
Well, sure. Options are always a good thing.
All right.
And Southern Miss, too. And we've got some great colleges and universities. But anyway, so after college at Mississippi State, I began my sojourn in journalism. For 37 years. And I started out, oddly enough, a lot of people don't know this about me, I was a sports writer for the Commercial Dispatch in Columbus, and I would cover high school football, and I had a 1 a.m. deadline, and everybody else was out partying, I was earning money. But I worked for the Reflector, the student newspaper, worked for the high school newspaper before that. Writing is something that has always appealed to me.
Wow.
My mother was an artist. My sister is an artist. I was very dejected. I drew little stick men. And my mother said, well, you can write with words.
That's me. That's my art.
But my mom said, you can write with words, or you can paint with words.
Wow.
And so literally I'm
going to ring the bell on that. We ring a bell.
Okay.
For American values and American things.
Absolutely.
A mother. He may not be like his mother, but she found the silver lining in it, the encouragement of a mother to accept her son as he is, and to highlight, showcase who he is.
So she did. Thank you for ringing that bell.
Thank you. Yes.
Mom is no longer with us, and ringing that bell, she's already got her wings and then some. Okay.
All right.
But no, she was a great encourager, as was my father. He was an engineer.
Wonderful.
He gave up hope me because of my math grades being an engineer. But I did consider the law for a time when the paper chase was on in the 70s. But I've always wanted to help people, and that would be parlayed later in my pastor studies, and I'll kind of talk about that. But looking back over all of my stories over my professional career as a journalist, I always tried to get to the heart of the matter, to if I, draw the soul out of the person so that we could share that, because everybody is unique. Everybody has a story to tell. And so they tell me.
I'm going to ring the bell again.
Ring the bell. I'm going to ring your cowbell.
I need the soul of a person. We acknowledge the spirit of America, the spirit, and everybody has a story.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a story. Everybody has a fight.
That's right.
And that's why we have American Fight Stories, is to encourage a fighting spirit.
That fighting
Good
spirit.
Fights, yes. But everybody has a story. I love this.
And I will tell you, my mom was a fighter. She was a cancer survivor. Okay. She had epilepsy. She had asthma. But that little woman could sing. She was a talented soprano, and she could sing Italian opera. She could sing in church. Feisty little woman. And comes from a Scotch-Irish background, so she was a fighter. Dad was, again, kind of quiet and reserved. But Mom, and I do have, my mom's personality. Her name was Sylvia, and a great a creative soul. She could paint. She could draw, but she was a great encourager, and that was among her gifts. And, Melissa, I feel like people, they need people in their corner.
Yes.
And if you're fighting, you're in the ring, you got to have the person that comes in and towels you off and spurs you on when you're kind of punch drunk and staggering around in the ring, right?
I just spoke about this today to one of my friends. I said, I'm in your corner.
Mm-hmm.
You're like in a boxing match.
Sure.
And and my job is, as your friend, as maybe your lawyer, is to say where we're at, to reorient you to the fight.
This is true.
Yeah, you need people in your corner. That's wonderful. You just mentioned that.
Well,
That's
absolutely.
beautiful.
Yes, and I think we need advocates. We need people who may not know where to go. And that's when your phone rings at your law firm, because you will stand up for your clients.
Yes.
And using that boxing ring analogy, my great uncle Steve Wilkerson is in the Ole Miss Hall of Fame. He was an Olympic boxer, headed to the Olympics, boxed at Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
But the war came on, but Uncle Steve was inducted with Bruiser Kennard, of Ole Miss legend as well. So I have rebel blood running through my veins, just like bulldog blood. So I can, I can say that I have feet in both camps. But I think it's great. I think the fight analogy is so important. You have to fight for what you believe in. You have to fight for people who maybe don't realize they have a voice.
Yes,
that they have someone in their corner. And so in my journalistic forays around Mississippi, I would find that. Sharecropper Shack, perhaps, where there was a brilliant musician who really longed for the big time. So I was able to shed a light on this person, and hopefully he might get a gig. He might get playing the blues at a venue. I always wanted to use whatever talent I had to help people.
Yes.
And so I find myself looking back over, you forget how many stories you write over a 37-year period, but I've really tried to be an advocate for people. And I always tried to be fair. In journalism, it's changed. One reason I retired, we were taught in school, you give both sides of the argument. You give that individual A and individual B their strongest argument, and therefore you've done your job. You let the reader decide. When I saw the industry changing and that some of the journalists had an agenda, or maybe they wanted to really broadcast their view, that was not what I was taught.
Manipulate.
Yeah, that was not what I was taught. And so I made the decision. My wife, of course, missed me when I was at these 3-hour board meetings on a hard mounted to a church pew, very uncomfortable, taking notes. I loved it. It was a high honor. We covered elections. We sat on those benches. We covered wall to wall, gavel to gavel coverage. And I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm old school, but they don't tend
I like old school.
I am old school.
Thank you for being old school.
Ring that bell.
Ring the old school.
Ring that bell.
Ring the bell for the old school.
But
yes.
And so I decided, I said, I love history.
Yes.
And I had volunteered on occasion for the DeSoto County Museum, and I said maybe I can lend my services to the DeSoto County Museum. And so I've been there 8 years.
Wonderful.
I
thank
love it.
you.
Well, thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it. We get 26,000 visitors a year from all over the world. We had a family from India about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And it's an honor. We have had school groups. We've got more coming tomorrow. We've been extremely busy today. It's a challenge. I'm still a seminary student. I graduate in May.
A seminary student.
I am.
He
at 60.
is a journalist. He is at the DeSoto County Museum. And he's also a seminary. And I've had people say, what is a seminary student?
Well,
what is it? I thought you could just, mail your little $25 in.
Some people do that. And I'm not going to cast aspersions on that. But in my background and tradition, I've been Methodist, Presbyterian, and Baptist. They say I preach like a Baptist, and I consider it a compliment because people don't go to sleep out there, hopefully, when I'm preaching. But I really felt like I needed the schooling. It's been 7 years. I have to take a class here and there. It is sitting in a classroom. It is listening to a lecture for 3 hours. It has made me not only a better pastor, because I pastor New Bethlehem Presbyterian Church in Horn Lake, and we have come back. We've battled back from COVID and just from those years when people were more comfortable on the couch instead of coming into church. We battle apathy. And so I said, I am going to try to to help those who maybe have never been in church. So I would go to the jail. I would work with those who have addictions. I was able to, as you know, effectively help some people and some not so much. But ultimately, it comes down to that person wanting to change.
A desire
to change.
Motivated to change.
That's right.
Yep.
So I have been there 8 years, and we had a very geriatric older congregation. We've got some new families in there now, and I'm very honored. And that is, of all my callings, that vocation is extremely special. I really feel like I'm making a difference, and I'm able to kind of enjoin writing ability with preparing sermons and then delivering that to the people. Not just on Sundays, but I have a email ministry where I email my sermons to the shut-ins.
Wow.
It's just a labor of love. But yes, May the 16th, after 7 years, I graduate. And I hope I have a very difficult professor, love her to death, but I should graduate with honors. It's up to me, yes, but in any event, all of our journeys are special. Your journey is special. We all have special journeys, special talents. I have lost both of my parents now, and so I do have a sister who is handicapped, but she is on the upswing. She is going to be able to walk again, and she's out of a wheelchair, and she's up here. I brought her up here. I promised my 96-year-old dad I would help her kind of get back on her feet again, so we're doing that. Have a daughter in college who just went to Spain.
I keep up with her. I don't know her, but I'm in the fan club.
Well,
okay.
Thank you. I brag too much, but I will tell you.
No, you don't. She's beautiful.
Well, thank you. I'm an older dad, and so people will say, "Is that your granddad?" She says, "No, it's my dad." But my dad had silver hair when he was in his 30s, and I did too. And so I'm I look a little bit older than I actually am. But she really surprised me when she went over to Spain. She said, "Dad, I'm real excited." I was able to talk, and she was in Madrid and other places. She was able to talk about Hernando de Soto in Spain.
Yes.
And this was a child when I would drag her along to every historical milepost up and down the road. "Oh, Dad, do we have to another historical
She's
monument?"
a living textbook.
So, thank you.
Yes.
It just thrilled me to know that she was able to, in Spain, talk about a Spanish visitor who really rocked our world, because he comes here looking for gold, doesn't find any.
So who was DeSoto? For those who don't know, may not have had the old timer education.
And that's going way back.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this.
Hernando de Soto, and the DE prefix is of the house of Soto.
Okay.
So, like Debar long,
I'm learning.
It would really be Soto. It would be the Hernando of the house of Soto.
Okay.
But in any event, he set sail in 1538 from Spain.
Okay.
And he traverses with his conquistadors as he makes his way up to DeSoto County in 1541. Came here looking for gold.
Of course.
He had told the King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, that he was going to find gold here. The gold he found was not the gold that he envisioned. So he comes here and meets our Chickasaw. The Chickasaw were the major tribe.
What's a Chickasaw?
A Chickasaw is part of the Muskogean or Muskogean mother tribe.
Okay.
The Quapaw, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Creek. They're all part of this mother tribe. Different traditions, even different variations of the language. If I was going to greet you in Chickasaw, I would say Chukma. If I was going to greet you in Choctaw, I would say Helito. All right? So you've been greeted in both of the Muskogean languages. You should feel privileged.
Yes.
But, so I do that at the museum. I greet people, and they learn the language. They learn our different road names. So back to DeSoto. So he comes here, and he plays nice at first.
Uh-oh.
And I tell people, kind of like the schoolyard bully that butters you up just to get your lunch money. He wanted to find out where the gold was.
Where's the gold? Yeah.
Well, about 2 weeks in, he stops being nice, because he finds out there is no gold here in Mississippi.
Oh, no.
And maybe some in Arkansas or diamonds or whatever they put in the parks out there, but not here. So he informs the Chickasaw, "You are going to have the privilege of becoming my slaves."
No.
Well, that did not go over well. They are fierce people.
Come on, Hernando de Soto.
They are fierce warriors. So the very next morning, they ambush DeSoto, and he's actually wounded. He makes his way. He does escape, and he's able to put on his armor. He's able to escape over to Arkansas, and he would explore a little bit, and then he would go downriver to modern-day Baton Rouge, Louisiana,
wow,
where he would die. And he would die from a combination of his war wounds and yellow fever, which was very prevalent, here in our area. And because he was considered, or the conquistadors tried to make the Chickasaw think he was a deity, they didn't want his corpse rising up to the top to show everybody he's just a regular old guy, right? So they put sandbags on his body and sank him to the bottom of this giant river, the largest river on the whole North American continent. And so some of DeSoto's conquistador survivors would take their armor, melt it down to make nails, cut down trees, and try to sail back to Spain. Well, they only got as far as Mexico, the current or something, I don't know. And I am not kidding you, Melissa. We actually had a descendant of a scribe on that journey who, found his way back here to Hernando. And I said, you are kidding me. So your progenitor was on DeSoto's.
Was lost as a goose. Said,
oh, my goodness.
Right? He's lost as a goose.
But he came back and he was able to share his ancestry side of the story. So that tells me this. We can read all we want to in the textbooks. Yeah. But when you hear something first person, and I urge every single young person that comes in our museum, ask the oldest person in your family so you can hear it with your own ears. Because you can read it, but if you can hear it, it really makes it real. Mm-hmm. And I did that as a kid. I would take my tape recorder and I would interview my great aunts.
Tape recorders.
Yeah, you remember those things?
Yeah, I remember tape recorders, yes.
So I would take it and interview my great aunts who were close to 100. And they had actually been at the funeral of a Confederate soldier, and they would tell me how they would rehearse that funeral over and over, and even have the dogs in the area sit and listen to them, and they'd preach that soldier's funeral. So I grew up with all of these stories, and I put all these stories, and I have written about my family, and they're a very fascinating group of people on both sides of my family. But everybody has a story. It's not just my family. And if that spark ignites within you that, wow, my family story is really cool.
I got to ring the bell. I love sparks. I love sparkly people. Well, I love sparks.
You gotta have that spark.
The fire.
The fire, the imagination.
The spark.
But what our stories of our ancestors tell us, that they overcame a great deal of things. Not only yellow fever, maybe a famine, maybe the crop didn't produce that year, maybe they lost a brother or sister to scarlet fever or whatever, the disease that couldn't be cured back then. So they really overcame a lot so that we could be here today. And so it's a way of paying back, of honoring them.
That's right.
And young people do. I said, promise me you're going to go interview the oldest member of your family, and you're going to write all this down, and you're going to pass it on to maybe your children.
Yes.
Maybe you put the notebook on the shelf until you grow up and have a family, whatever the case may be. But pass it on.
That's right.
Pass it on. And that's what we try to do.
It's a duty. It kind of is a duty, not just a job.
It's a duty. It's a duty.
Honor, just like you said.
It's an honor. More than an obligation.
Honor.
It's an honor to do that because we all want to be remembered.
It's a legacy that goes past your long lifetime.
That's right. So at the museum, we have people, which really thrills me, even though we get people from all over the world. The most endearing comment to me is, I have driven by this museum a million times and I've never come in. And I said, well, come in.
And it's free.
And it's free. I said, come in and learn about your history, your heritage. And we have got some of the coolest things. Ask me what.
I've been in there. Listen.
Okay.
I have been in that museum. I get out of court and I just want to. I love the courthouse.
Sure.
I love the courthouse.
Absolutely.
And I love strolling through the museum. I may be in there 2 hours. Mm-hmm. I may meet somebody in the museum and strike up a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I may just roll through there 5 or 10. And it's rarely 5 minutes. It's usually at least 15. Yeah.
Sure.
And I look at because you change the exhibits all the time.
We do.
And in my mind, I say this frequently: free means no excuse.
That's right.
There's no excuse you can't go through there.
The reason we are free. Now, we do We do have a jar up there for donations if they wish to donate.
Okay.
The pastor in me says, we're going to pass the collection plate.
Yeah.
But it is free for a reason. We are very blessed. The county and the cities, they help us.
Yes.
We are not funded entirely by them, but they really enable us to keep our doors open.
The Board of Supervisors, DeSoto County Board of
do.
Supervisors, they love the DeSoto County Museum.
They're great supporters.
And anybody that loves, in my mind, anybody that loves DeSoto County loves that museum.
Well, and thank you. And what we try to do to earn that, we get calls all the time. We need a history on such and such. We need perhaps an excavation done. Can you tell us, what do the charts show? Is there anything there? I'm asked to write legal briefs. I am asked to do a number of things, presentations. I go into the schools. We go beyond those walls to earn. They were looking for some Chickasaw names, and we were able to come up with a couple of possibilities. The county was, and people will ask us all the time, can you help me? I'm researching my family. Sometimes we can, and then we refer to our good sister agency, the DeSoto County Genealogical Society, and they're able to help and partner with us as well. But every request we try to investigate, and we try to earn whatever stipends we may get from our governmental and municipal agencies. We try to give back, and they rely on us. We are a resource. The school teachers, we had Olive Branch High School is coming tomorrow. We've got two big groups, and then we had DeSoto Central Middle this past week, and I love that because young people they're getting excited.
Yes.
And this is their county. This is where they have chosen to live along with their parents. And so therefore, they need to know a little bit about where they are. And I'll share this story with you. We were living at this time in West Nesbitt, and my daughter, who's now 21, said, "Dad, who lived on the land before us?"
Yeah.
And I knew some of the names, and whatnot. And she said, "Well, before them, you know how children are. It's just one question right after another." Said, "Child, you are wearing me
Of
out."
course, she's your daughter.
Well,
of course, she's been trained to ask questions.
This is true.
She's a journalist. She's been trained.
She
yes.
came along with me to many of my meetings. I refused initially to wear one of those fanny packs, whatever it is, to you're supposed
press or something.
whatever it is you put a child in the back of it.
Okay.
Whatever they call them. I don't know, papooses or whatever. I don't know. But she came with me as I took photos and did stories, so it crept into her.
Yes.
But in any event, I've always gravitated towards young people. And my daughter, I think, thankfully, has discovered the joy of history and what it means and the joy of writing. And I'm extremely proud of her. And so I'll step away from her fan club right now and get back to the matter at hand. But no, all of our children really need to know as much as they can our failures, our strengths, our successes. Because if we sugarcoat it and we don't tell them that we came up against this struggle or that struggle, how are they going to cope?
You're right.
And so my wife and I, who's a nurse, and she
Did
also,
you know I'm a nurse too?
Well, I'm telling you, that's
I'm
amazing.
a nurse and a lawyer.
Wow, now that's a wonderful combination. Yeah. Well, you're helping people at the end of the day. You take an oath in both cases, right? You do. And so you try to help your patient or your client. And I think that's what attracted me to my wife, Laura. We've been married now for 23 years.
Wow.
And she helps me now in my ministry. She never bargained on being a pastor's wife, and my daughter sure didn't bargain on being a preacher's kid.
She's Rob's wife. That's why she's Rob Lawson.
But she really has. My ministry would not be what it is without Laura. There's no question about it. And she is very forgiving when I stay late to do things like we're doing now.
Thank you, Laura.
Absolutely. I told her it was
Thank you, Laura. You are here in spirit.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Laura, for sharing.
And word will get back to her. I was bragging on her, as I rightfully should. But this is my home.
Yes.
Now, technically, Madison was my home back in the day. And but that little hometown doesn't exist. It's grown so much, sadly. And there are elements of it that do in the ball field where I played baseball or tried to. I wasn't that great an athlete, but I gave it the old try, And But there's special memories there. And we've made so many memories here in DeSoto County. And we've met so many wonderful people. And people just assume I've been here forever. And I'm honored about that because when I did come here, first as a journalist, I wanted to soak up all the history and all the stories that I could. And then now in my museum occupation, I try to do that as well. So one is just kind of parlayed into the other. But it's just been a wonderful journey here. And your podcast is letting me be able to talk about the museum, the little church where I am, giving back. So whoever is watching or listening, to this podcast, my ask of them would be that they give back in some way in whatever occupation they hold or whatever vocation or hobby that they have. Because, Melissa, we're all here just for a vapor.
Oh. That'll preach because it's actually a scripture from the Bible.
Well, it is a vapor, and
it goes by so fast.
It's a huge cemetery outside our church walls, and I say we've got more folks in the cemetery than the pews, but we're working on it.
That's right.
But I say, the dash is there. The dash is there, and it's what we do between the dash that will live
between the date you were born.
That's right.
And the date you're deceased.
That's right.
The dash is the life.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So each of us we have a finite time to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And very humbly, I say I've tried to make a difference.
Thank you.
I'm sure, like we all do, I have certainly made my share of mistakes. And before I stepped into the pulpit, being a journalist, sometimes you have to write tough stories, and I was always tough but fair. But I kind of went on an apology tour saying, I'm going to step in the pulpit. Please forgive me if I've ever done anything to offend you or anyway. And it's so funny. I took some folks I thought were kind of ticked off at me to lunch.
Yeah.
But I had to do that. And I cannot stand in the pulpit and ask people
you have to
forgive.
Be clean.
Well, you do. And you have to say, look, I am a sinner saved by the grace of God.
Amen.
And I'm dedicating whatever time I have left to God and helping others. And once you do that and you ask people to be of a forgiving spirit, because I could not stand up there in the pulpit and ask people to forgive if I didn't forgive or ask for forgiveness. It's a two-way street. So it has been a spiritual journey for me in my pastor job. And then I get to talk about all these wonderful, edifying stories at the museum about people who've given so much to our community, people that we hear about. Miss Jiminy Bowdry, who was the first African-American principal at Hernando Elementary, and my good friend Clarence Christian, who just passed away, who was a docent at the museum, a brilliant man who taught me so much about what I did not know about our county in the early days from his perspective. I just interviewed Dr. McLemore today, Leslie McLemore, who is on our board. But he is the first African-American to vote in modern history, and he's 85 years old. He's still walking around.
Wow. A
lot of people don't realize technically, since 1865, African-Americans theoretically had the right to vote. But down through history, it was like, oh, John or Susie, you don't want to do that. Why bother yourself with voting? You don't want to do that. They were discouraged from voting. So Leslie, at that time, had been to Russ College. And he and his...
I love Russ College.
Well, isn't it a great institution? And he was still a young man. I think he was 21 or 22. And he came back, and Mr. Ham Ferguson, who was the clerk, welcomed Leslie in, he and Johnny Anthony, and I think Eugene, Dr. McLemore's brother. And they didn't have to tell them how many bubbles were in a bar of soap or some of those things that were done back in the day to kind of discourage African Americans from voting. They took a test, I believe, on the Constitution and passed, and they got to vote. So today was really neat. I was sitting there from this man.
You're opening up a big can of worms about
history
voting and education.
History is history, and it's not this person's history or that person's history. It's just history.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you are a truth teller, it might get you in trouble, but so be it. Our Lord was a truth teller.
That's right.
And I got him in a whole lot of trouble, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
But if you're going to be true and you're going to be all about the truth, you have to tell it all. And we tell it in just a straightforward manner, so that people will be aware of kind of some of the things that went on. There were courageous people, black and white, who just did the right thing, right?
Yes.
And they weren't doing it to be politically correct or to be cool or anything. They just did it because it's the right thing to do.
The right thing.
Ring that
got
bell.
to ring the bell.
And my grandfather Long, who was
the right thing to do. It's the next right thing.
It is.
It is the next right thing. Where do we go from here?
My grandfather Long, who was a Methodist minister back in the day, and he was so courageous. He actually, at one time, I think it was in Calhoun City in the 50s, the Klan marched in the church. Wow. And said, with a bag of money, and sometimes the Klan would do this to establish their legitimacy.
Can we talk about the Klan?
Sure.
I think we can.
Sure.
We can be honest.
We can be honest.
Yeah, it's history.
It is history.
History is history.
And they marched in that church in Calhoun City with a big bag of money. And one thing you never did to my grandfather Long, you never interrupted his sermon.
Whoa.
He didn't care who it was. And they said, this money is for the Lord. And he said, no, it's not. That's blood money, and I want you people out of my church. So one of the Klansmen pulled a switchblade knife on my granddad. Granddaddy was 6'4". So he reaches down, blade up, and wrestles that knife out of that Klansman's hand. And he bore the scar to his dying day.
An act of faith.
Yes.
A fight, a real fight of faith and truth and justice.
That's right. Well, let me tell you the redemption part of it.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's a month later or 2 months later, the Klansman comes because the man's hood fell off in the middle of the church. Everybody saw who he was. But
the truth came out.
True. But the way God is, and the beautiful thing about our Lord is the man recanted, felt bad about maybe the meanness, because that had to come from somewhere. Maybe it's a troubled childhood. Maybe it's a perception that someone is getting something that he doesn't have or they didn't work for, whatever the case may be. We've heard all those tropes in the past. But the man brings Granddaddy a mess of fish and says, preacher, let's be friends, And so what a wonderful story. So you're going to make people mad if you're a truth teller.
Yeah.
Maybe people will bring you a mess of fish, Who knows? Maybe
I hope you like some fish.
But that, if Granddaddy can be that courageous back in the day, in just whatever capacity I can be to preach truth and love, and I'm a Southerner. I'm as Southern as cornbread, right? Yeah. But I believe in doing the right thing.
Yes.
And I have tried to pattern my life after my granddad. And I love my daddy and mama, but the granddaddy really and my grandmother really, I spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
My father was always working. My mother was ill a lot. And granddaddy really, for all intents and purposes, were my surrogate parents and just made a huge impact on me. So I say all that to say this. I love people. I don't care what they look like, how much money they have in the bank. They've got a million stories of their sacrifice, their suffering, their walk on this earth that I want to hear about, and I want to honor them. And so I get to honor them as I try to do.
You need a podcast. That's why I'm doing this, Rob.
No. You're adding to my wife. My wife's going to fuss at you. This is such an honor.
Yes.
But no, my plate is kind of full, but it was important for me because this podcast goes out to a lot of people, and they're able to say, wow, I need to come to the museum and see all the stories that are going on there. Maybe I need to work on my own story. Maybe they need to journal and sit down and tell their story because their story is equally as important as mine. Mine is no different. I talk about it because it's pretty interesting to me. But yeah, everybody does have a story. But my grandfather and my grandmother, they were just legendary people in my eyes and taught me so much. And I think our grandparents, by and large, who raised a lot of children, they are so important to us. They're a link to that past generation,
Yes.
But no,
good or bad. I mean, you've got a good connection to the past that brought you. They invested into you the best of themselves. They may not have had a lot of money.
Sure.
But they had...
Being a preacher in Mississippi in the 50s, I guarantee you they didn't have a lot of money. But they
had the best of themselves.
That's right.
And the best part of them lives on in you, just like the best part of you lives on in your daughter and all those little children that you're investing in.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I take it very seriously. And for instance, when I tell young people, right where you're standing, you would have been underwater, because back in the day, we were completely underwater.
Wow.
We didn't have the T-Rex. We had the megalodons and the Spinosauri, and
that's way back now.
That's way back.
That's
now.
way
That's
back.
Way
I'm
back.
gonna have to go through there and get that tour. I haven't had that
fossils,
tour yet.
Yeah, we've got fossils that go way back. And being a pastor, I tell people, look, the archaeologists say it was this time period. I just say it was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And so I am a bridge builder. I do try to bring people together. And if I had gone into the law, I would have probably wanted to be an advocate for people, because people get lost in the system.
But you are in the law. The Bible is the law.
That's right. That's right.
It's a law book. You follow those laws. You don't need people like me.
Well, yes, we do need people like you. No.
But that book is it's like no other book in my mind.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yes.
I think, if more people followed Scripture, we'd be better off. I was thrilled Easter. We had a lot of folks packed in there, and I'm hoping this Sunday we'll have some back. My sermon was from the manger to the cross and beyond, because it's all linked together.
It's a story.
It is a story. And it's a story of redemption. We're all trying to be redeemed in some manner. We're all asking for forgiveness.
Yes.
We're all asking for someone to help us.
I'm going to ring the bell on forgiveness. I mean, this is something you mentioned, and it's so good. Forgiveness, how to reconcile our relationships.
Sure.
Reconcile our relationship to God.
Absolutely.
And to other people.
Absolutely.
No matter, just like the story about your grandfather and exchanging fish.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the best apology the man could give him.
I think
is
so.
I'm giving you
this fish.
I'm giving you fish. I could have sold the fish, made some money off of it.
That's right, sure.
And this is my sacrifice to make things right between us.
Well,
but
I think most
forgiveness is so important.
It's so key. Most people, they want to do the right thing, and they just need some people to help them. And in my practicum this semester, I'm a chaplain up at Rhodes on my one day off from the museum, so I was able to work that out.
Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee is one of the most beautiful campuses.
I think it's the 7th most beautiful campus in the whole country, according to U.S. Today.
It's the prettiest one I've ever seen. It's Rhodes College, Memphis, Tennessee.
And so I'll be there this semester. I'm there on my day off from the museum. I didn't want that to interfere with any of my other activities. But it's wonderful to be able to get a window into how the young people, what they think, and they need help. They really do. A lot of them are coming from homes, maybe their parents are working 2 jobs so they can afford to go to Rhodes, which is pretty expensive tuition. And therefore, they don't really have anyone to listen to them. So as a chaplain, similar to a pastor, but different in a major respect, you listen more. I'm a talker, okay? I have to, like my wife does in church when she kind of puts her hands up to her like she's playing with her necklace or her pearls or something. I listen more, and that has been the most wonderful thing, to just sit there, be with them, and listen. And they've got a lot on their plates. These young people today, they're confused. They don't have role models, solid role models. They don't have an anchor. And so because they don't have an anchor, they drift. And so it's all connected, all these different vocations, whether the museum, the church, the Rhodes College, the seminary, whatever the case may be. We are looking for meaning. We are looking to belong. We are looking to be in communion with others, to make a difference, because, again, we're here for just a little while. And so you're helping, podcasts are a wonderful thing in our day and time. People have a chance to share what makes them tick, or what delights them, or what makes their day worthwhile. And so this is a blessing for me. This is a blessing.
I'm learning. I'm wanting to take notes. I don't know if that's appropriate, but I love your drawings.
Thank you.
I love your drawings. The anchor.
Sure.
And of course, there's a lot of spiritual connotations and music associated with the anchor holds.
Absolutely. And the lighthouse,
the anchor,
is a great old Southern hymn.
and connecting. And I love all of these words that you're sharing. It's a generational transference of information that we desperately need. So some people aren't reading it in books.
That's right.
They're not maybe getting it at home because mom and daddy, they are busy working
they're
and
busy,
and broken families. That's right. And
Sure.
people. But
it's really sad. So they do turn to pastors. They turn to teachers. And teachers' hands are kind of tied today, and how values and morals and things of that nature. We do live in a different world where you can't just readily dispense advice. You have to be very careful. It's really sad in a way, that you don't really have those mentors like we used to have, who could just tell us things unguarded, just say, "Hey, this is what happened here," and I'm trying to show you the truth again.
Yeah.
So, but I am an optimist, and I do know that we have so many wonderful, bright young people that are out doing things. The robotics team just did very well in DeSoto County, and I know Miss Emily Nelson and her chess playing students. And I look around DeSoto County and I brag on DeSoto County seriously when I go other places. We have the best school system, private, public, and parochial of any county in the nation.
We love it.
It's marvelous. And
still every day trying to be better.
Well, you got to be better.
Yeah.
If you ever sit on your
excellence,
if you ever sit on your laurels and say, dust your hands and say it's done, well, that's premature. You haven't really accomplished your full potential.
No.
And my dad, who lived to be 96, was dispensing advice from his deathbed and was telling me giving me the what fors, you need to do this, you need to do that. So he was teaching me right up until his end, So you're never too old to learn. You're never too knowledgeable to learn.
Y'all hear the bell ringing. I don't have to ring it.
Well, it's so true.
The bell should be ringing in your ears right now. This is good stuff. I don't want to slow the flow, but it should be ringing.
No, it's all good.
Yes.
But no, we learn each and every day. And I learn new things. I learn, for instance, about the historical buildings here in town. For instance, one particular building, I know the Chamber of Commerce was working on a grant, and there wasn't any history really of this particular building because it was not located in the historic district, so it wasn't in archives and history. So I literally called up some of the oldest people that I knew and said, "What was there? What can you remember?"
How old were they?
Well, I won't say because they might get mad at me. But they were old enough. I'll just put it that way. But they knew exactly the history of this particular building, so I was able to. I also serve as chairman of the Hernando Historic Preservation Commission, and so that's another hat that I wear. So I don't
think I even knew that existed. But that's awesome.
Yeah, it exists.
Yeah.
And we are there to help preserve, but we are not an impediment. I'm a firm believer in private property rights, but at the same time, we work with people so that something can be restored historically as accurate as possible. But this particular building is just a beautiful building. I won't say which one it is, but we didn't know a lot of history about it. And so I went back and I talked to people who very well remembered it. And with healthcare, these folks are living longer, so they're able to tell their stories longer. And I am learning as fast as I can about what is not in the written record. We have just inventoried our museum, and we've got well over 1,600 items, and that's even more than some of the newspapers and things that we have. I'm talking about objects. So we have completed an exhaustive inventory. So that's going to be for the first time ever, thanks to a grant from the Digital Humanities Hub at Southern Miss.
Okay.
We're going to take
thank you, Southern Miss.
Thank you, Golden Eagles.
Yes.
We're going to take high-def photos. High-definition photos of all of our objects so that people who may not be aware of the thousands of artifacts that we have can go to our website, DeSotoMuseum.org.
DeSotoMuseum.org. So no matter where you are, check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah.
And then
get ready to come to DeSoto.
That's right.
Yes.
And just today, we had some members of leadership DeSoto who came by, and a lot of those are new people. Mm-hmm. Who are wanting to kind of tap in or plug into this county they're going to call home. And DeSoto County, I just gave a program at the library, and we're going to give it in Tate County. at our founding in 1836, there was no Tate County. It did not exist.
Right.
DeSoto went all the way from the top, all the way down into past Coldwater and Independence and down towards Senatobia Way. So I titled the talk, We Were Them and They Were Us. And people are amazed.
Us and them.
That's right. They were
That's
they were
as old
amazed.
as time.
It
Us
is.
and them.
Well, it is because they got tired of having to drive up to us to pay their taxes.
Yeah.
So in 1873, Tate County was created. People have no idea. They just assume there's always been a Tate County and there's always been a DeSoto County.
I think Arkansas became a state in 1836.
Okay, I
And
believe
it's,
so.
yeah. And then when I first came to DeSoto County, I'm a transplant.
Okay,
So
sorry.
as far as the place that was the end of the earth for me was DeSoto County.
Okay.
And then I realized, hey, here's Tate County.
Yeah. Well,
But that was a stretch of faith for me to come to DeSoto County from
understand that.
Arkansas.
Well, sure,
but
sure.
yeah, there's a whole lot of history all over Mississippi.
there is
Northern,
history
yes.
everywhere you look.
Wow. And sometimes I almost think I can feel it. Now, I'm unmedicated. I don't have any psychiatric meds.
Okay.
But, you walk through places and you're like, I can feel the history
No,
here.
you can.
I'm
You
like,
can.
there's history here. I love it.
You know, in Oxford, and I'm a big William Faulkner fan, even though I hail from Mississippi State.
I like
where
to
you are.
sit by that little statue.
Oh, yeah.
I love to
Because
sit by
can
that
you
little
imagine
statue.
the wisdom that man could impart to us? And they say, well, he drank so much. Well, he was so brilliant. He had to kind of temper his
You had to
brilliance.
slow it down.
He
Yeah.
had to slow it down.
Yeah.
But I never will forget, 40 years ago, I drove down to Roanoke, which is William Faulkner's home, and I had the Mississippi State bumper sticker on my car. And Howard Barr, who was the curator at that time of Roanoke, I guess he thought I was going to burn it down because I'm from state. I said, oh, no, I am a huge fan of Mr. Bill, and they tell me I was reading Faulkner at the age of 7, and so
Is that true or not?
well, no,
Just-
it is. The Unvanquished. It's a Civil War novel with Ringo and Bayard and some of these other characters. The Faulkner did write not exactly children's books, but they were readable. It was about the Civil War, and
they were not really children's books.
well, yeah, you had to be careful.
You had a way to say, and the earth moved.
Well, now my grandmother, they were actually her. I borrowed her Faulkner books to start reading. But the man won the Nobel Prize, and nobody in Oxford ever gave the man a second thought. He was count no count. He played tennis barefoot.
Is it because he was drinking?
I think so.
Yeah,
and Faulkner. You know what Faulkner said?
What?
They kept fussing at him about drinking so much, and of course, back in the day, in Prohibition days, you had moonshine and whiskey, and he'd say there's a whole lot of nourishment in an acre of corn. But the man also said in Stockholm, Sweden, when he got his Nobel Prize, he said, I decline to accept the end of man. He will prevail, and he will prevail because he has a soul capable of compassion, pity, sacrifice, and endurance.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
It's a fight.
It's a fight.
Here's William Faulkner.
Yeah.
We've got William Faulkner here at the table today. He's an American fight story.
Faulkner actually, people
yes.
think he had this deep voice. He had a very high, tinny voice.
Okay.
He would say, I decline to accept the end of man because he has a soul capable of compassion,
That just melts
pity,
your heart.
sacrifice, and endurance. And that's how Faulkner spoke. So
He was the original cornbread.
He was. He was. So that was my Faulkner imitation.
I love it.
But I do, you all try to coax me into telling something about myself. I love to do imitations. So that was my Faulkner. But the most trouble I ever got into was in high school.
Okay.
And it was 2:00 and May was coming and we wanted to be out of school. Dominic Bevilacq, who was a great Italian man, he was our principal. And he had a voice, a very sonorous voice, and he would say, students.
Where did he come from?
Students from the Delta. He would say,
Delta.
students. So I got on the intercom that day, and I get up there and I say, students. And I let us out early, and I got in a lot of trouble. I had to clean that man's office the next semester, I think, for 6 months. He said, but you did a pretty good imitation of me. But I used to do, Mark Twain, and I would do Teddy Roosevelt at historical functions. And I love that. I love bringing something to life, a human being from history, to life. A story.
Yes, here they are.
So I told a story, but they remember when I did that.
Yeah.
And even though my buddies were cheering, I got in a lot of trouble dismissing us earlier that day. But it was
Those
all
are
good.
co-defendants. That's a conspiracy.
That's true.
Yeah, but we like it.
Thankfully, I got
the little rebel.
mercy.
Little rebel.
Well, I wasn't.
Little bulldog.
I was
in
a
him.
little bit. I was a little bit of a mischief maker, but not really. I was a pretty good kid, but I occasionally would do things that would, like Ferris Bueller, kind of like that, But no, you got to have fun, Melissa. You got to have fun in life, and you got to rein it in, And so my wife, I credit her with kind of reining it in a little bit. When I get on a sermon that I'm really proud of the sermon, but people got their pot roast to go home to.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of wrap up my sermons, but but we do at the museum. If you remember Floyd's Barbershop on Andy Griffin, everybody drops in.
Yes.
We actually have a few regulars.
Okay.
So in between tours, we have
I'm
people,
almost a regular.
Well, you are. Come on down. We have regulars who say, all right, tell me a story.
Yeah.
And so we have storytelling time.
Okay.
And what I want to do is really kick it up a notch. I want to have storytelling time at the museum.
Okay.
During COVID, we had events called Nights at the Museum. We'd have different speakers. I want to bring that back. And then when Mr. Roy Metters passed away, he was a bluegrass picker. And they used to pick some bluegrass every Thursday evening. I want to bring that back because a lot of the older ones have died off.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna use your podcast to put a call out there. We need some young musicians, free.
Wow.
We have lighting where you can have a concert. I don't care if you put a tip jar out.
Are you talking about the hewn log, the cabin?
It is.
Is it is it kind of a pick and porch?
Well, it is.
Okay.
And it is.
That's a perfect place to have a pick and porch.
Brian Blake, who got Memphis Songwriter of the Year, he's played there along with some banjo players. But we really want to get a consistent. We want it to be used, and we have lighting where people can come and play their musical instruments. We have a parking lot we can rope off and get a lot of folks in there. So we've got aspirations to bring crowds and people back. We're going to embark on a renovation plan next Thursday at the old church next door.
I love
It's
that.
6 o'clock is our annual meeting, and we're going to talk about some plans we have for the museum. The Memphis Children's Museum is a great museum, but it's not in the best area of Memphis. Crime, it is an issue, and moms and dads are worried about it. So we hope to have a children's museum here.
Wow.
So we're going to, kind of kick around some ideas about that. And
we've got to have a children's museum.
Well, we think
I
so.
mean, that rings a bell in my spirit, Rob.
It does. It does.
Children, I mean, if we're
That's
going to
our
have
future.
the best education, we've got to have.
Well, we're going to do that.
We
We'll probably
can
have
do
some
that.
charrettes. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We've got a great architect at the museum, Jonathan Hooker. He is with AERC, and Jonathan has some great plans. So he'll be sharing those with folks if they'll come out to the old church next door. It is Iglesia Gracia Internacional.
Yes.
And it's the church next door. And Jaime Layaka is Loaza is the pastor. A wonderful man, a big heart. And so he's going to, we lease that out. That is part of our holdings.
Okay.
But we're going to meet over in the old church and hear about our future. So that's going to be a neat marriage of old and new.
In a church, yeah. Of course it is.
Yeah, we're combining it all together.
Yeah, an act of faith.
That's right. Sure. But we're blessed. Museums, the Tunica Museum, one of their museums did close. And it's a hard time for nonprofits. So we do depend upon the public. It is tax deductible if they wish to come out and donate to us. If it's okay, I can give out a P.O. box if that's okay.
Give your P.O. box
P.O.
for
Box
them.
866 Hernando, Mississippi 38632. Okay. Your your donations are tax deductible. Artifacts and things are welcomed. We're kind of right now at max
for storage.
capacity for storage.
Yes.
So, but we appreciate so much because people do think of us. This is a part of their family history. They want to share it.
I've referred people to you.
Thank you.
And I have a lot of churches that will call me just because I'll do a free consult,
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of churches ask about, what do we do about this cemetery? All the people have passed on and none of our people are here. These are these are graves, and what do we do? What's our obligation legally?
It has been said, though, the mark of a society is how you take care of your elders. And I'll go a step beyond that. It's how you take care of the remembrance of your elders, too.
This is so good.
Ring that bell.
I got to ring the bell.
If they had not walked the earth.
The mark of a civilized society is how you take care of
your
elders.
That's right. That's an old Chinese proverb, but it goes beyond that.
Chinese, it's across civilizations. Sure is, yeah. It's across generations, we have an obligation.
We do. Yes. Speaking of the Chinese, the Kwan family were here, and they operated Fong Brothers Grocery up here on the square for many, many years. And Miss Mamie Kwan and I know Daniel Kwan is a doctor in Jackson. So at the museum, we're always thinking of new exhibits. Okay. So and the Kwans attended the Methodist Church. They integrated our schools early on in the 60s. And so
I mean the Chinese integrated the schools.
They did.
We may be known for other people integrating our schools, but the Kwans integrated the Chinese people.
Who would have thought? But so we are going to do an exhibit honoring that family. If you go to the Hernando Memorial Park and you go into the old Baptist part of the cemetery, you'll see the Chinese gravestones from some of these old families. So you know what, Melissa? We are all God's people.
Yes.
And as President Kennedy once said, we are all mortal. We all breathe the same air, right? And so ring that bell. But I
love JFK too.
We're all in this thing together.
Yes.
We're all in this thing together. And I have found at the museum we bring such a diverse group together. And it's like, wow, I remember this. And it jogs their memory. And even if it's a painful memory, they went through it. They triumphed over it. And it's important to them because they were able to, as Faulkner said, endure. They were able to endure. And so
I love that word.
Endure is a beautiful.
Endure.
Well, he did. That was in a lot of his works.
Yes, I love that word.
They endured. They might have prevailed at the time, but they endured. That means they were able to suffer through it. And there's victory in that.
Amen.
You've worked with survivors. You know how it is. If you're able to survive something, you've overcome it.
Yes.
You've overcome it. It can't defeat you.
We come from a long line of survivors. We're going to survive. A fighting spirit. Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful. What's your favorite exhibit at the museum?
Oh, my goodness. That is like asking me to name my favorite child.
We already know your favorite child.
Well, we know my favorite child. This is true. But at because we do change up the exhibits. We do change.
They're all your favorite.
They really are. We have Jerry Lee Lewis's piano.
Yes.
Dr. Franklin, a very famous veterinarian.
Jerry Lee Lewis lived in Nesbitt
for 53 years.
53 years. His home is open to the public.
It is open. Yeah. They have reopened it. That's correct.
Yep. Jerry Lee Lewis, and he did have a place up in Beale Street. I'm not sure if he still does.
I don't know if
he had a bar.
He had a bar. I don't know if he's still up.
I don't know.
But he was a fixture in our community.
Yes.
He would go down to Happy Days, they tell me. And Elvis was the dip man or the dippity dough, which it used to be. That's where it got its name.
And that's literally within walking distance of where we are now.
The dip, absolutely. And Elvis would pull up to the dip, but Happy Days was Jerry Lee's place. And he would call ahead with his order. And you better have that man's order right.
Better have it ready.
He would drive up in that 54 Chevy or whatever, and he would drive with his feet. Jerry Lee was so scared of getting shot. He would lay back in the, I'm telling you, in that car.
Kick the seat back.
He would drive with his feet,
Like a gangster.
Well, you said it. I didn't. I mean, I'm not going to disparage the dead, but you got more credentials to defend yourself than me.
Go ahead.
No, but Jerry Lee was Jerry Lee, right?
Yes.
And I got to tell you a funny story. There's so many stories, but Stephen Pittman, good friend of mine here in town, fellow attorney.
He's a friend of mine too.
We used to have, and I hope they'll get it going again. We had the Front Porch Jubilee, and Jerry Lee, we inducted him into the North Mississippi Hill Country Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Well, it's at the old Cotton Gin up here. Mr. C owns the Cotton Gin, and it's old, thick, old wiring, that was probably from the 40s. So everybody's plugging in their amps, all these groups. Well, just about the time, I look up and see this blue shower of sparks. We blacked out an entire section in West End. Jerry Lee calls up, his manager calls up, JW calls up and says, Jerry Lee wants his dressing room cold enough to chill meat. And if it ain't cold enough to chill meat, he ain't coming on.
He ain't coming.
And we had people from Australia and New Zealand
coming to see Jerry Lee.
Oh Lord, this is going to be the end of our front porch jubilee. And they were there to see, because he is a living legend.
Yes.
And we could see, we had a limousine from Hernando Funeral Home going to pick him up, but he got spooked. He was not going to ride in the back of a limousine. He was real suspicious, or a funeral home limousine, right?
And that's the funeral home where they had his.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
They did. So ultimately, he got to, he got to ride.
Yeah.
He got to ride. But anyway, on that day, so I think he rolled up in somebody else drove it, but he rolled up in his Mercedes with Killer on the front. But I'm saying
he's here.
He's here. But what do I do? What do I do? And so anyway, he was going to come on a little bit later, but his back was hurting him.
Aww.
And I said, Mr. Lewis, come on up, Mm-hmm. Well, they were in the corner trying to give me the signal when his dressing room was
cold.
Cold enough to chill me, because we didn't want him to leave and stomp out.
No.
So I used to be a radio DJ back in the day.
Wow.
I gave that man a 26-minute introduction. So I got the cue.
It's cold.
It's cold back there for
cold,
me.
yeah.
So all I did I just said, and he shot like a comet out of Faraday, Louisiana, and all this kind of stuff, and all the stuff I could remember. And he's sitting there, kind of lapping it up and everything. And then at the end of all this, and then Lucas Lee, who's a child progeny who could really play the piano, he's playing some trills and,
Yeah.
So anyway, I finally get the signal, hey, we've got
It's
generators.
ready.
It's ready for him. And I said, here he is, Jerry Lee Lewis, like at Hernandez Hideaway, And he said, and my wife is standing right there, he said, son, I have been given many introductions over my time. That's near about the best introduction I ever got. You want to come on the road with me? And my wife says, not on your life.
Oh, no.
Not on your life. And he says, that's a smart woman there, because he was legendary for all of his exploits when he was touring all over the country. But yeah, I had to do it. He never knew. And he was able to enjoy whatever we had back there, libations or whatever. I wasn't in on that detail.
No.
But it was cold enough for him, and he was able to come on stage, and it was just really cool. But there's just so many stories like that everybody has.
Yes.
They've had brushes with people who were famous, and John Grisham, I got to meet him, really exciting, and he talked to me about, we talked about baseball and some things, and he was just so nice, and so I've met some really wonderful people up here. Maybe they weren't famous, but they had stories, and their stories. If somebody can tell me a good story, they're a friend of mine.
Yes,
and that's what we've lost, I think, in our world today. We've lost the art of storytelling. Mm-hmm. And so this is just wonderful to be able to sit and tell yarns and stories. And there's a million of those. There's a million of those. Pull up a chair.
That's actually a gift. One of the prosecutors told me that.
Oh, sure.
That, Melissa, you're just a phenomenal storyteller.
There you go.
This person is guilty, but when I get finished telling the story,
sure.
We want to give them an award after I get through telling their story.
Well, let me tell you this. It is true. I had an ancestor, Reuben Davis of Aberdeen, Mississippi.
Aberdeen, okay.
And he would put pepper in his handkerchief so he could cry for his clients at trial. And I don't know how many people.
I've not had to do that.
Put some pepper in your handkerchief. But he did, and things like that, They tell me he was a great storyteller. My mother was a Davis. And so Reuben is, he's in there somewhere. But yeah, isn't it fun? And I do think, and with apologies to my wonderful northern friends, maybe it's too cold and they just want to hurry up and get by the fire or something. I don't know. But Southerners will sit out on the porch or the veranda and tell stories, for hours on end.
Sip on the sweet tea.
Sip on the sweet tea or something stronger maybe, whatever they want to sip on. And
watch the magnolia trees.
That's right. Smell and inhale that beautiful that perfume of those magnolias. But there is something to that. And I think that's why Hernando, DeSoto County, South Haven, Olive Branch, all of our cities continue to grow, is because it may be, corny to some people, but they want what we have. And what we have, Melissa, is an appreciation for life.
Yes.
And we do stop to smell the gardenias, if you will, or whatever it is that
Boy, they
so good in the lake. Don't they
good.
Smell good?
You have to smell them. I can't describe.
You got to stop and smell the gardenias or the roses.
Yes.
But I think that is what sets the South separate and distinct. Miss Eudora Welty lived around the corner from my mama down in Bellhaven in Jackson, and she did not have air conditioning, okay? No. She had her window open, and the curtains were fluttering out the window, and she was kind of hunched over in her old age. And I could hear Miss Eudora's typewriter going. This is in the early 70s. Well, the woman won the Pulitzer Prize in 1973. She's 2 blocks from where my mama lived.
Yeah.
So we grow up in the South with all these great storytellers. Excuse me, I get to talk and I get to coughing. Yeah. Because the honeysuckle and everything.
Because all the flowers and all the trees and all that. Yeah.
But we grow up around these great writers, and we hear some of the best stories. And anybody, who listens for any length of time will learn these stories, and they're just too good not to share, So
that's even what drew me in. I always wanted to write stories as a nurse.
Sure, yeah.
Because I'd hear all these stories, and I thought, man, I need to write a book,
You could.
And then, I moved on to being a lawyer, and I hear all these stories.
Sure, well, you should
and
write a book.
I was like, man, I don't have time to write a book.
Well, make time.
So somebody asked me to be a podcast guest.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, a podcast. Maybe this will help me tell people stories. So that's kind of why I'm even doing. I like to help people tell their stories and let them just give a snapshot of their story. And this has been wonderful.
This has been truly wonderful. And
I mean, this could be a mini series right here. Rob Long.
No.
Yeah. The wife says no, but
my wife says she's heard all my stories and then some.
No, we've not heard. You're still writing the stories. One question for sure. Okay. I don't want to miss this. If you're a transplant, like me,
right?
How do I'm becoming part of the history,
right? Sure you are. Sure you are.
But you come to a place like DeSoto County, Mississippi, and you're just trying to figure out where you fit in.
Well, I think we're all trying to figure out where we fit in.
How do you get in and start learning the history? And there's a parking lot over at behind Taco Felix.
Yeah, sure.
And there's Clayton. You probably know his name. But there's a place I used to go and I would eat my lunch.
Yeah, sure.
And there's big trees, and it's a set-aside place, and it says something about a colonel. It used to be his old home place. And I was like, there he is.
Colonel White, yeah. Yeah, there's so many stories at every turn. And so what we need to do for some of us young folks, and I still think, we are young. Yeah. People live to be 120 now, right? So we're in our prime. But we need to listen to a lot of these stories and some of the elders and make these stories our own and share them with other people, just like what you just did. And the podcast I think podcasts are a way people either on a drive home or maybe at night, they can sit back and hear someone's life, and get snippets here and snippets there. But I think, books, I will still say, I'm a sucker for books.
I am.
I got about 900 between the home, my study at church, the museum. I got about 900 books. And it's something about having a book and sitting down and reading it and putting it down and maybe, you're going to get lemonade on it or whatever, but that's okay. That becomes part of the story. This is, well, okay, here's where I left off because here's my M&M thumbprint and here's my lemonade, right? Splotch on it. But books, ever since the Guggenheim and the printing press and the ability to be able to print and read books is the most marvelous thing. And I'm so glad to see our library still holding forth. And regardless, if you get your stories, in a podcast or an iPad or however you get your stories, to take time to listen to other people, it's a marvelous thing.
Yes.
It is a marvelous thing. And I am so grateful and thankful. This is wonderful to kind of take a respite from a busy day. We've been wall to wall tours today, which is great. So I get to kind of plop down in your chair and expound and share upon a lot of experiences. But other people have them too, and they're just as important. And I don't want to portray that my stories are any more important than theirs, because they need to take stock of how far they've come, even their their battles that they fought. It's made them who they are, and so they need to share that with people. And there's a camaraderie with that. That people can kind of commensurate on their triumphs and their even their disasters and catastrophes. Those are a lot
we can learn from those too.
We sure can.
Those are like Bible stories.
Well, and we even laugh after a while after we come through them.
If they can survive it, maybe I can too.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. But I'm grateful as well.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for this time that we have spent. And please, like I said, come visit us, bring some folks, and maybe we can do a podcast there from the museum.
Okay.
I know we got a lot of nice, expensive equipment around here. It's kind of hard to get out in the field. Yeah. But yeah, we're going to have some events. I want to invite the public to.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this next Thursday at 6 in the old church next door to the museum, we're going to lay out for the public our plans.
It's wonderful.
And so we'd love for folks to come by. But
thank you so much for coming, Rob. And I feel like this is just this is the first time I think I've actually met you in person.
Okay, we've talked many a time on the phone.
We've talked, yes. And I thank you for answering the phone.
Sure.
Absolutely. When I don't know what to do with these treasures, Sure. And you know what to do. And I thank you that you've invested yourself into those activities and that training. I thank you for ministering to the soul of this county and our thank you for sharing your stories with us. Thank you for coming to DeSoto County.
All right, the pleasure's all mine.
You seem like DeSoto County. You've just kind of merged into.
I love this county. I love this county.
And you can't help but love this county.
I was in my 30s. I was in my 30s when I came here, and so I've spent a good number, quarter century of my life on this earth here in DeSoto County. So it's helped make me who I am. But I'm very grateful to people who have been so kind. They continue to be very kind to me. And, your friends know all about you and still like you anyway.
We love you.
And so
that's the South.
That's the South.
Bring the fish. We'll forgive you.
Yes. We'll fry it up.
We like fish. We like that catfish.
That's right.
That's right.
But thank you again.
Well, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
I do have these little coins. I was going to give you this. It's a challenge coin for American Fight Stories.
All right, great.
And it's just a little token of appreciation. And thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being a great American fighter and teaching us about your fights and sharing your stories with us and fighting for history.
That's right.
I love history.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And thank the listeners, viewers, for tuning into American Fight Stories.
Sure.
Again, we're challenging all Americans to be better Americans. You can find this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Please rate, subscribe, and review. And you can email us at debarcares@debarlaw.com. And we will pray. I usually pray, but would you like to pray for America?
Well, certainly.
Yes, we should all pray for America.
Absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
I'd be honored if you'd pray with it for us, yes.
Lord God, we come to you on this podcast, regardless of who the listener might be. You are the creator of the universe. You spoke this world into creation. Lord, we ask your protection over this nation and other nations as we find ourselves in this war. Lord, we thank you for the bravery of our men and women who are fighting for this nation. We ask you, Lord, and we pray for those who find themselves in harm's way. God, we know that you know all things. You are omniscient. You are omnipresent. Lord, we know that this world and our fate, our future is in your hands. So let us sleep and rest well tonight, knowing that because you love us and you guide us and you protect us, that we are in your capable care. Lord, we thank you for Melissa. We thank you for this studio. We thank you for the ability for us to connect as human beings, as your children. And we ask that we continue to trust and put our faith in you, that you will guide us safely home. And we ask all of this in your holy and precious name. Amen and amen.
Amen. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in.